Hey, it's Chris. Welcome to the ultimate review of the Apple Watch Ultra for non-adventures, aka the video that 99.9% of people interested in this device are going to care about. Now, I already put out a video talking about why I pre-ordered this as a non-adventurer or somebody who could honestly care less about features like precision dual frequency GPS, the ability to operate at -20 degrees Celsius, the exclusive Wayfinder watch face, although it is pretty cool, the water resistance that works up to 100 meters, the IP6X dust resistance, the 86 decibel siren, the depth gauge, running form efficiency info, a super accurate compass, or a full-featured dive computer, etc, etc, etc. But in this video, I'm gonna give you my impressions on the size and weight, on the bands, on the exclusive watch face, and a bunch of other things. I'm also gonna tell you about the 7 things that I actually do care about in my experience with them so far. And then I wanna tell you about what makes this thing special versus other smartwatches and just watches in general, like this one that I've been testing out. So this is gonna be a very different video than other reviews. So I got a confession to make. I just couldn't bring myself to film an unboxing of this thing when it showed up, just for the views. Because I gotta admit to you, I'm a fan first, and I just couldn't wait to dig into this, get out of the box, put it on my wrist, play with it, try it out. So if you were expecting that unboxing from me, apologies, but let me now give you some of my first impressions. First of all, let's talk about the size and the weight. Personally, I love the size and the weight. It's surprisingly light for something this size, and it looks like it could kick any other Apple Watches you know. I mean, here it is next to another chunky smartwatch, the Withings ScanWatch Horizon. So you can just kind of see for yourself how these two actually compare. Now, to me, I mean, the color is okay. This titanium, it looks nice, but I would have preferred maybe a black or a midnight, something a little bit darker to choose from. Now, I don't claim to be an adventurer or even a pretend adventurer. So while the exclusive Wayfinder watch face here is pretty cool, technically, does some interesting things, I'm just not gonna use it. And I've seen some other reviewers be like, oh wow, it's the best thing in the world, I love it, it's my new default go-to. It's just like, I don't need this compass on a day-to-day basis, I don't need the waypoints and the elevation on a daily basis. But I'll tell you what I really do like, that's the new Modular Face here. That's pretty cool. And I've actually got a few of those set up so they can change throughout the day based on my focus mode. Now, as far as the bands go, the Alpine band here is okay. It's pretty cool. I actually wouldn't say that I'm in love with it or anything like that because it has a very REI feel to it in all its different colorways, and that's actually not really my vibe. But it is comfy and it's also unique, so that's what I do like about it. The Ocean band, on the other hand, has the potential, at least, to be one of the most comfortable Apple Watch bands of all time, at least in my opinion, because the plastic is really nice and soft and stretchy, but it's also kind of hard to dial in the perfect fit. For me, it's either too tight or it's too loose, so I don't know, I'm still getting used to it. Unfortunately, my Trail Loop band, for whatever reason, doesn't arrive until November, so I can't yet tell you what I think about that. All right, in the previous Apple Watch Ultra video, I talked about 7 or so features that anybody would enjoy or like, even if they weren't an ultra rock climbing, super Rambo style marathoner. And these are what I think about those features now that I've had some time to actually use them. First of all, one of the things that I mentioned was that this thing was just different than the regular Apple Watches. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I like that this thing isn't on every single wrist in town when I'm out at the coffee shop or shopping or whatever. I'm not seeing these everywhere like I'm seeming to see regular Apple Watches, which has seemingly become ubiquitous these days. So this is different, and I do like that. I'm absolutely enjoying the fact that this thing is extra rugged, just the extra toughness, because I've already bashed the crap out of it just going through my everyday adventures. Just like a couple days after I got this, I was setting up a crazy new accessory, which you're gonna be seeing in an upcoming video soon. And bam, without even realizing it, I slammed the glass right into one of the metal arms on this thing. And as you can see, there's not even a scratch on there. So I was immediately relieved to know that this thing is such a beast. Also, having this programmable action button is just cool. I've just been using it to quickly start workouts like I'm guessing most people will be, but I've been cooking up some great shortcuts that I can attach to this thing, which I'm gonna feature in an upcoming video about how to get the most out of your Apple Watch Ultra. So subscribe if you're not already, if you don't wanna miss it. One thing I will say is that I do end up accidentally hitting it sometimes when I'm trying to push that side button over there, because each button is opposite each other on the watch, And so it's kind of tricky not to do that occasionally, at least, but you just end up adapting and adjusting your grip. I think one thing I'm gonna end up using that button for in the future is gonna be something productivity related. Speaking of which, I am putting together a productivity course specifically for people in the Apple ecosystem. So if you want a notification when that launches in the next maybe month or two, then give me your email. There's a form down in the description. No spam. The bigger screen here is super great, and its greatness was apparent to me immediately. Obviously, it's just nice for reading text and whatnot, but if you pop open something like a calculator and anything with buttons, then all of a sudden, you don't have to be quite so precise with your taps. Less mistakes. Easier to use. I mean, that's just a bonus. Now, in the pre-order video, I talked about how this has improved speakers and mics and how that might improve call quality for me. Now, I don't take a ton of calls on my Apple Watch, but the few times when I do, I have noticed that it's been really nice to have that louder volume. Also, the fact that the 3-mic array can detect wind noise and pipe your voice only through the clearest mic and cancel out sound coming from the mic with the most wind interference so that you can sound good to the people on the other end of the call, that's ridiculously cool. That is definitely Chris approved. All right, what about the battery life on this thing? Well, here's what I've noticed. I've noticed that I just about never have this thing fully charged. And I've also noticed that effectively, even though it's never fully topped off, I never end up having battery life anxiety because this thing has better battery life. I also mentioned in the other video that this is gonna be 2 times brighter at its peak brightness versus regular Apple Watches and how much I would enjoy that outdoors. Here's the thing, I haven't really noticed it until I've thought about it, which is actually the whole point. It's plenty bright so that there's nothing for me to complain about in the blazing bright sunlight. Now, subscribers know I did go several months without an Apple Watch this year, and I also spent some time just wearing this Withings ScanWatch Horizon as well. And there were a few reasons for that, which I talked about on the podcast, but both not wearing an Apple Watch for a while and trying out a different smartwatch for a while really layered in some context for me for this particular review. So not having an Apple Watch at all for a while really showed me just how much I've really come to rely on this thing. For years, it's been my alarm clock. It's also been the main way I set reminders using Siri. It's been the eyes and ears for my security system. It's been the best way to pay for things using Apple Pay at most of the places I shop. It even remote starts my car when it's too hot or too cold. And of course, it tries to coach me to be healthier. Doesn't always work, but it tries. And lots of other things. Too many to even describe. In short, spending some significant time without an Apple Watch on my wrist really left me feeling a lot less capable in many ways. So as I was thinking about what my next Apple Watch model should be, it was clear that the Ultra was gonna give me all the stuff that I had missed back and do that in a way that made everything I already loved even better. Now, for a solid, I'd say month and a half, I did check out this Withings ScanWatch Horizon, mostly just to be a good reviewer, to see what an alternative smartwatch was like to live with. And if I'm honest, it really wasn't a great experience coming from an Apple Watch. Because technically the ScanWatch is a smart watch in that it has some digital smart components to it, but it's just not that smart. It just doesn't do very much. In fact, it does so little compared to an Apple Watch that it basically feels pointless. It's like, of course it has months-long battery life. That's because it almost doesn't do anything. That said, I did like the looks and I did get lots of compliments, both from viewers here on YouTube and in person, but if I'm gonna make the decision to go with an old school kind of a metallic watch, I'm gonna go with something that is nicer, but dumber. Like a mechanical watch or something that's at least a piece of art that isn't trying to be something that it's not or isn't sure what it is. But even something like a Tag or an Omega or a Rolex would still have me missing my Apple Watch. That's the thing. So I could see myself maybe wearing an old school metallic watch on the weekends or something when I want to disconnect from the digital world. But right now, for me, the Apple Watch is the ultimate watch. And of the Apple Watches, the Ultra is by far my favorite. It is the ultimate watch for me, and I've tried them all over the years. So should you buy this if your life isn't defined by the outdoor adventures that you go on? Well, honestly, I'd be 90% as happy as I am now with the Ultra with just the new SE, honestly. So I'm gonna leave it at that, let you think about that, and see what makes it worth it or not to you in your own mind. Thanks for hanging out today. Don't forget to check out the newsletter, the podcast. We try hard to make these valuable things for you if you're in the Apple ecosystem. It's not just about hanging out with Chris. You will get something out of each of those, so check those out. They're linked up down below. You can check out the Daily Tech wallpaper packs linked up down below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later.